Good evening and welcome to a new episode of WTFriday. I'm finally back, but it's been a really rough week, y'all. Now I'm starting to feel better, and I do apologize for my absence, but I do believe y'all probably understand that sometimes we just get sick. Now, we have another parade tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. here in our hometown of Whitmire. I'm trying to find out if it'll be streamed live on Facebook. So far, I haven't received an answer yet. Now, hopefully I'll know something before I finish recording this episode, and if I do, I'll be sure to add it at the end. Now, I do know that it will go on rain or shine, and I asked that earlier this week since they've been forecasting rain for pretty much all day Saturday. But now the forecast is saying that the rain doesn't start until later in the day, so we'll see what happens. Oh, and if you are at the parade tomorrow, we're after the fire trucks. The parade coordinator asked me the other day if we're going to do a live show during the parade because she had put us behind the fire trucks, but she could move us if we needed to be moved. I hadn't planned on going live, so it was all good. But we might be deaf by the time the end of the parade comes. So anyway. So way back in March of this year, I brought to you guys the story of a family massacre that took place in North Carolina on Christmas Day. Well, with it being the holiday season right now, I started looking into more Christmas massacres, and tonight I'm going to share with you what I found. These stories happened on Christmas Eve, but I mean, it's right there at the holiday anyway. So I'm just going to tell you now that it's not going to be a very long episode because my throat is still sore, and I have this awful cough, and sometimes it wants to flare up while I'm talking, so I'm going to have to build back up to doing longer episodes.
Welcome to What the Friday, the After Dark series presented by Mystery, Murder, and Magic. Listener discretion is advised.
All right, y'all. So our first story for tonight happened on Christmas Eve back in 2014. And it happened when Dustin Klopp and his wife Stephanie got into an argument. Now, at some point during that argument, Dustin attacked his wife of 3 years, punching her in the face, cutting her throat, and bashing her head with an axe. After trying to clean up the blood, he moved Stephanie's body to a shed on their property. The couple had 2 kids together who were 2 and 5 at the time of the crime, but he says that they didn't see anything that had happened. The next day, Dustin put the kids in the car and drove them to his parents' house to celebrate Christmas. While he was there at his parents' house, he called police and confessed to the murder and tells them that he wants to turn himself in. Well, after that phone call, police drove to his home and soon located the body of Stephanie. Now, Dustin was charged with homicide and a couple of other charges related to Stephanie's death, but a few days later, another charge would be added. Stephanie's autopsy revealed that she had also been sexually assaulted by Dustin that day, but that autopsy didn't specify if the assault had happened before she died or after she died. So that resulted in the charge of a felony sex charge. Now, Dustin would never stand trial for killing his wife, though. The following March, he hanged himself in his jail cell. He was rushed to an area hospital, but later he died from his suicide attempt. Just before midnight on Christmas Eve of 2008, 9 people were killed in a home at a Christmas party in a suburb of Los Angeles, California. 45-year-old Bruce Pardo, who was dressed in a Santa costume, knocked on the door of his former in-laws. Instead of bearing gifts, he brought 4 semi-automatic handguns and a homemade flamethrower. As the door opened, an 8-year-old girl ran towards him because she was so excited to see Santa, but he shot her. He shot this 8-year-old child and he injured her face. Well, after that, he started shooting randomly at people there at the party who were trying to run away. Once he was finished shooting, he used the flamethrower and sprayed racing fuel, setting the home on fire. 9 people were killed by either fire or being shot. 3 others, including the little girl that he had shot in the face, were injured. Now, the fire itself shot flames 40 to 50 feet in the air and took 80 firefighters 90 minutes to put out. When Pardo was finished, he changed out of the Santa costume. Sorry, y'all, that's what I was saying. My throat is still a little messed up. And he drove a rented vehicle to his brother's house, which was about 30 miles from the crime scene. He was found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So why did he do all that? Well, he and his wife, who was in attendance at the party, had just divorced after a very brief marriage. In the divorce settlement, he was ordered by the judge to pay a $10,000 settlement and spousal support in the amount of $1,785 a month. So I guess he didn't think he owed his ex anything. It was also later revealed that he had planned to kill his own mom because she had sympathized with his ex-wife during the divorce. What a great guy, huh? I mean, if he was going to kill himself, why couldn't he have just did that without taking out so many others with him? And how he shot that poor little 8-year-old girl in the face as she was running up to him, God. I mean, she was excited because she thought he was Santa. And I can just imagine that probably ruined the spirit of Christmas for good. I mean, hopefully not, but I can only imagine. Okay, our final story for tonight took place on Christmas Eve in 2007 near Carnation, Washington. Excuse me, y'all. Now, Carnation is a little rural town about 25 miles east of Seattle. On that Christmas Eve, 29-year-old Michelle Anderson and her boyfriend, Joseph McEnroe, who was also 29 years old, armed themselves and drove to her parents' home on the same property. From what I read, they all lived on the same property, but not in the same house. Now, that's not your typical, let's go see mom and dad for Christmas, right? I mean, well, once they were inside, they found Michelle's mom, Judy, wrapping presents, so McEnroe kept her distracted while Michelle tried to shoot her dad, Wayne, but her gun jammed. So McEnroe ended up shooting and killing him and then turning the gun on Judy, killing her next. After that, they dragged Michelle's parents' bodies outside and cleaned the house so no one would notice anything and waited on Michelle's older brother, Scott, and his wife, Erica, along with their 2 little kids to arrive. Once they were there, Michelle shot Scott several times, killing him. Erica was also shot, but she managed to grab the house phone and call 911. Now, she was only able to stay connected with them for just a few minutes, but the dispatchers did hear what they thought were people arguing. McEnroe took the phone away from Erica, destroyed it, then killed her because they didn't want witnesses to what they had, to what had happened, and because I guess they didn't want the kids to grow up with the memories of what had happened to their father and mother. He shot and killed their 2 little kids, who was like 3-year-old Nathan and 5-year-old Olivia. It's just disgusting. These people absolutely had no feelings whatsoever. Now, officers were dispatched to that house because of that 911 call, because, they heard the arguing, so they had to dispatch them. But anyway, when they got there, the gate was locked. There was apparently a gate to the property, but it was locked, and they decided not to pursue it any further. Now, it would be 2 days before their bodies would be discovered when one of Judy's co-workers came looking for her when she didn't show up for work. She peeped through the window and saw what she thought was Judy and Wayne's bodies, so she called 911. Now, the bodies that the co-worker actually saw was those of Scott and Erica. While the police were on the scene investigating, Michelle and Joseph drive up. So they take them in for questioning. Well, eventually, both of them confessed to the murders, and both were charged with 6 counts of Sorry, y'all. 6 counts of first-degree murder. The couple was tried separately, but both were found guilty of 6 counts of aggravated first-degree murder, and both received life sentences in prison. And what was their motive? Money. Michelle felt for whatever reason that her brother Scott owed her, and she had always been slighted and mistreated by her parents. Now, that's kind of odd to me because it's usually like the older children who feel slighted or mistreated, when the younger siblings come along. But even when that's the case, most of those don't end up in a massacre like that. Well, that's all we have time for tonight. I'm sorry that it was such a short episode, but I'm trying to let my throat continue to heal. I'll be back in the morning with the Weekend Weird Files, and I'll be bringing the week's headlines that grabbed my attention. Have a good night.